In terms of surrendering, it has been a process. And I would say from my early teenage years, there have been points on my journey where I've had to come to a choice to follow Jesus, to surrender other things in my life, to follow him. That would be a career. I remember getting to a point where I had to choose whether I was going to follow a career, which would have meant moving home and moving area. And I felt very clearly God say not to do that. So that was a point of surrender. There were a number of points of surrender along my journey that I see were part of the process of the circle of the deep, bringing revelation of God in a way that brought about a cycle of change that I went through that brought me into a deeper relationship with God and into deeper revelation per se. But ultimately, the key to surrendering for me was not me making a choice to surrender, but actually brought to a point where there was nothing left. I gave up everything. And that happened in 2011-12, when I went through a dark cloud experience. There's many testimonies out there of that, and videos of it online, as well as I did a whole conference on it. And I think our next book in the Sons Arise series will be the dark cloud experience. But essentially, God brought me to a point where my soul, the control of my soul over the rest of me, to sort of produce my own identity from what I was doing, even though I was doing the things God wanted me to do, but my soul was in control of that process. God showed me the state of my soul by, I think, removing the spiritual authority I had over it. So it came to the surface, and essentially I was horrified by what I did in terms of questioning God and wanting to know what God was doing, and it was all to do with who I was, who he made me to be. But I was using that in a sense of validating myself through what I was doing. And I'm redemptive gift prophet teacher. Therefore, I want to know how things work, how understand them, teach other people about them. And he took me through a stage where I couldn't see anything. Everything was black. And I couldn't understand it. This didn't seem fair. And I accused God and ranted for 6 weeks or so, just couldn't get it. And eventually came to the point of genuine surrender. There were several points of where I said I surrendered, but I didn't. But when I actually surrendered was when I chose to trust God, even when I didn't know what he was doing, even when I didn't understand, even when I had no idea, I would trust him. And I made that decision. It was almost at that point, it was like, I am going to live in misery if I continue like this. Actually, God, I trust you, even though I don't know what you're doing. I make that point of trust. And from that point, what happened is that my soul and spirit were separated and reintegrated. The connection from my soul to my spirit, which was for independence and was coming the wrong way from outside in, God severed that. He reconnected me. That enabled me to live in the realms of heaven and earth at the same time. Everything changed from that point. So it was a fairly dramatic experience that God took me through, triggered by me wanting a deeper relationship with God and producing a ketubah, which is the marriage contract between me and God, but getting it all wrong. And the marriage contract for me was what I wanted from God, from the relationship. Well, actually, when I got to the point of surrender, I realized it was totally about what I gave into the relationship, not what I expected from God, but actually what I chose to give, surrender everything into that relationship. And I did, and that changed everything. In that my relationship with God went deeper and deeper and deeper because I now trusted him. I didn't need to know, and now he was free to show me, because I was not going to use it in my own strength. I was not going to use it for my own purposes within that process.